And a very tired 9000 plus 1. Hey, how you doing?
Hi there. I mean, infinite and expanding sounds a bit like the universe, but I'll try.
He's finally learned witty banter. I'm so proud. All right, let's get into them topics whilst I put myself on voice activity. Okay. Topic 1. Is there a way for physical games to coexist in the digital market going forward? The industry does gain more profit from digital sales. However, there's never been a time where everyone had access to decent internet. Do you think the value in physical production should increase or decrease, and why? Number 2. Which formatting is better for music, games, and movie subscriptions based on or individual ownership of a piece of it? I'm sorry, based on individual ownership of a piece of it, or one-time payment of a base version. Number 3. Hey, real talk. If DC Comics goes out of business, should Warner Bros. Sell or keep the properties? Number 4. Is 3D sound the next new audio feature or a dead in the water gimmick for you? And of course, we're probably going to have bonus topics just because holy shit, how much shit has happened and fairly quickly.
Yo.
First and foremost, I would just like to take this time to sadly bring up that we have unfortunately lost a member of the MCU a lot sooner than expected. I know it's not new news, but it was never really addressed inherently by us. Chadwick Boseman, with no surviving direct descent, but is survived by his family and his wife, who he married in secret, unfortunately lost a battle with cancer. Further proof that, as I've said for the longest time, it doesn't matter how good or how nice your life is, how good you are to people. Reality does not give a shit. Life will take you whenever the fuck it feels like it. The only two constant in life is death and taxes. Okay, so who wants to volunteer to go first?
I could go first.
All right, entertain us, homie.
Unless England wants to jump in first instead.
I will take it. I will take the ring to Mordor. No, you go ahead, mate.
Alrighty. Well, let's see here. For topic 1, I think it largely depends on the individual region that you're releasing your game in. Specifically, one of the prime examples that comes to mind is Australia. Their internet is utter garbage. And it's honestly really frustrating for the people living there. So for them, a physical release would definitely be the preferred option because their internet is just so fucking slow. So they would most definitely need, you know, non-digital versions of games because the internet down there is simply not good enough. In a country like, say, I don't know, Japan, they have a decent amount of infrastructure set up where doing games digitally is no problem whatsoever because they've got, wireless signals going all over the damn place. They can easily handle a lot of traffic and have people still have decent download speeds. And I'd like to say it's a similar situation for the United States, but it it differs from state to state and even from individual places in a state. The closer you are to a city, the better chance you'll have, good internet. But sometimes even that's a bit of a crapshoot. So I think there should always be, a physical and a digital release, if only for, maybe certain regions of the world where the internet infrastructure is not so well built up. So I would say, looking at the final part of this question, that physical production should probably stay where it is now and not further decrease. Alrighty. As for topic two, for me it's kind of a simple answer of I would prefer just to pay one time for it and then just get get the song, game, or movie. Because as it stands, a lot of these streaming services or video game companies are wanting people to, have to spend more and get more out of people for something that they could honestly just pay for once and have it. Maybe I've just been too pampered by the old age of DVDs and Blu-rays, where now we're going into a full digital era where no one really has physical copies of anything. Let's see here. Topic 3. Well, they could always sell to Disney. Now, that obvious joke aside, I think they should if DC goes out of business, they should probably continue to hold on to it, and maybe if they want to try to rebuild it. But even if they don't, they can still make a decent amount of money on, just the various royalties involved with all the characters and the like. So if I were them, no, I wouldn't sell it. I would hold on to the royalties unless someone came along with a really, really good deal. Or, I don't know, maybe someone goes and buys out Warner Brothers wholesale. Time will tell. Now, as for topic 4, honestly, this 3D sound thing sounds like a pretty silly gimmick. I don't really think it's gonna catch on too much. Though, honestly, I kind of thought the same thing about VR, but look how popular that suddenly became, so I don't know, I could be wrong. But I don't think this 3D audio is going to be, or 3D sound is going to be all that, like, big. Because I get the feeling, much like VR, it's going to require a kind of a specific setup. Though I don't think it'll be expensive as VR. But, yeah. As far as I see it, it's kind of a gimmick. I don't think it's going to last. And guess that's it for now, unless you throw in another bonus topic once the rest of us are done.
It's pleasure. All right, starting right off, all about physical games and digital. This is going to be relevant in topic 2 as well. I don't like digital things. Now, don't get me wrong. I really, really like Steam. I play the fuck out of the games on there. Treasure it. But I really just prefer having real copies of things. I mean, think about it this way. A company isn't really obligated to keep your copy for you. Oh, hey, we're going out of business. We're not supporting this digital one. We're not going to help you with support. Fuck you. Sorry you bought it. It's old. Buy our new game. I like the old game better. No thanks. So I don't like it that way. I do think not as many people care as much now because of phone apps. It's all of it's digital. So I don't think as many people care. Millennials and older care, I think, a bit more than whatever they call the younger than millennial generation that I'm not a part of. So, so I think there's a value in physical things, and I think as you get older, as that generation gets older that has digital things, they'll see that the physical things are the ones that have really stood up. Think about a book. I mean, when I read a book, do I really want to fucking pull up my Kindle and do that? No, I don't own a Kindle. I want to open a book because there's an experience to owning something. There's an experience to taking a game out that's meant a lot to me since I was a child and playing it. There's an experience to that. And, you know, I'm one of those people that owns records. So I'm clearly susceptible to that market. So I know that's not true for everyone. And I think what's going to happen is the physical ones are going to cost a fair bit more. And the special editions are going to give you a physical and probably a stupid link to download, and the digital ones are going to rise. And then as people get older, they're going to want the physical ones. Younger people will always kind of drift towards the digital ones. That's what I think. As far as music, so this is very related. Music and games and movie subscription based. I think people want subscription based movies more, like Netflix or television shows, because they produce their own things and because it's a pain to look for the disc. Oh, my disc is scratched. You know, I do like personally having them, and that's why I have all my favorite movies on disc. But if I just want to watch some bullshit, why would I go out to the store anymore and buy it or rent it? That's why Blockbuster went out. Do you really want to watch a movie you don't know you're going to like and pay a bunch of money for it? Or have a website where, hey, you don't like that movie? Turn it off in the first 10 minutes, pick a different one. That's why subscription-based is good. I mean, you rent a piece of shit from Blockbuster, and you're stuck with it till you go back to Blockbuster. So, I mean, I have a lot of fond memories there, but I'm not going to be like saying, well, that's better in every way. But as far as music, I feel very strongly about physical copies, or if you can't have a physical copy, rip that shit on the internet. Don't buy a subscription. I rip all my music. Probably shouldn't say that, but I rip all my music and that I don't own, because guess what? Spotify goes out of business. Oh, where did all the music I listened to go? Where did all the playlists I listened to go? Oh, YouTube changed their services. Oh, where'd my shit go? Oh, guess what? That YouTube video that had that song you liked, gone. Hey, that happened to me. And guess what? I have a fucking digital copy on my phone because I liked it enough to rip it, and now it's mine. I know how to put the album cover on and the year on and make it look like I bought the thing. So I feel very strongly about, and I can burn them onto a disc actually. There, I own the, whatever it is. I feel very strongly about not streaming crap. Like, I'll listen to videos on YouTube if I don't own the song, or if I want to watch a live, but for the most part, I like to have a copy of what I like. You know? It's just how I feel.
know how you feel.
For real. Yeah, it's just, you know, I could change computers. You know, a lot of my favorite musicians that I grew up with, they were CDs my father had. They were records he had that he bought on CD, and he put them in the car, and we listened to them, and then he one day put them on the computer, and then we transferred that to another one. I don't think we ever get out the CD and put it in, but all that music is because I had a physical copy. And if I get a new computer, when I'm far, far away and I'm like, hey, you know, Father, can you send me those CDs? I want to load them to my computer. He would say, sure. And then I can send them back to him. And guess what? I have a copy forever. So physical's where it's at. Just saying. And records sound better. Like, that's something a lot of people say, but it just sounds like the band is playing there, if I'm honest. But they do scratch easy, so you got to take care of them. So, apart from the obvious comment about DC Disney, I would say they should keep it because it is worth a lot of money. I mean, undeniably, Batman sells a ton. I mean, one of my friends is collecting those. If anyone remembers these, the Batman corgis from like the early 2000s.
What?
Yeah, they made a whole bunch of Batman corgi mobiles. Those made a ton of money. So Warner Brothers gets a contract with Corgi to make all these cars from all their comic books, from Batman's entire like run from like the 30s to the like. There's 4 2000s ones. So he's collecting them because he had a whole bunch as a kid, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Do you have all of them? So I like collecting things. So I've kind of got him on the on the bug of collecting them. So Warner Brothers makes just a ton of money off that stuff. They don't even need to make a movie for Batman to be selling crap with deals. So they'd have to be extremely stupid to sell DC Comics. They would. Like, it's just one of those things that's worth money. Like, you know, LucasArts is making money. They made a ton of money in the 80s. Did they make a lot of movies after, you know, Return of the Jedi, sometimes called Revenge of the Jedi, but then they changed the name because it sounded like Jedis are, you know, bad or something. Revenge is a loaded word. Anyway, so they didn't make anything, but guess what? They sold shit tons of money of those fucking plastic lightsabers. I'm sure everyone listening to this got hit with or hit someone with at some point.
Gotta get the merch, yo.
Or those, I hate those things. I like them and hate them. Like, I remember I get hit with it and it would unfold and it would like rivet. Like, oh, awful. But it was pretty fun though. And then, you know, all those action figures, they made more money on the stuff they sold than the actual movies that came out in the 2000s. And then they made a bunch of money on those. So it's one of those things. DC's one of those gifts that keeps on giving. You would be insane to sell it. So unless someone's offering, like how Disney did for Marvel and for Star Wars. So, but, you know, a lot of people don't want them to sell to Disney because Disney has their own aims for what they own.
Don't want to give the mouse more power.
Oh, I'm terrible. My brother does the Mickey voice very well. Anyway, oh, you were going to say? Yeah. I can do a whole bunch of my own, but I can't do that one as well. I've done it sometimes. So 3D sound, the next feature. So 3D sound, to clarify, because it's a weird name, let's be honest. It's when the volume's coming through your bum and also through your head. So like it goes side to side. It's when your music is coming from below you and above you. I thought saying it the other way was funny. But okay. So it's not to be confused with like different types of audio, like stereo, mono. But it's sort of like it's good for like it's like a surround sound on another dimension, on another plane, an axis. So in that case, I don't think it's going to work for. Let me clarify. I think it will work and it won't work at the same time. I think rich people will have it put in their stupid movie theater room, but it'll be way too expensive for most people, you know. So I don't think it's going to pick up as something everyone does because it sounds really expensive, at least for the current moment, because you'd have to wire it or add speakers down to wherever you want it. I also don't think it'll work for music unless, you know, you're one of those guys who almost already has it and owns a studio and you produce music in it and you've already got it coming from, you know, all four angles of the of like a X or a plus sign, and they might add them to a studio so that they can hear music. But I don't think it's something people will have in their houses. I mean, not a lot of people have surround sound in their houses, and that's been around since probably the 50s in studios, in recording studios. That's been around for ages. The only people who have that are like pretty rich. So if it's taken 50 years, 60 years to get a few rich people to have that in their house, this ain't coming to everybody. Sorry to let your hopes down. This is going to the people that can afford to put in that garbage and want to enjoy their video game like they're watching Mad Max or something. It would be really cool, though. I'd really like to go to a place where they have like this installed and you could play a game that's like, I mean, we all know the first release for it will be Skyrim, but you could sit down and you could hear the stuff coming from the different angles.
First release is probably going to be a Sony launch title since it's built into the PlayStation 5. That being said,
it'll be Skyrim.
I don't even think they can port Skyrim anymore. It's literally able to be emulated on everything, so they might not even need to port shit at this point. The only
They'll
place
still try again.
last
PS.
time they actually made a legit port was probably the Switch version. E- Everything else at this point, they're just using emulation.
Yeah, pretty much. But they will still try to sell to you again.
Just works. No, but like, yeah, I would just say that it's. I know you say, oh, it's in the PS5. No, it isn't. No, you're not getting that sound quality unless you own the stuff in your. You can get like an imitation one, like a crappy Oculus Rift knockoff tries to do VR, but you're not getting fucking 3D sound unless your house has that.
Save yourself some time. It's in the headphones for the PlayStation 5. The device can do it. It has the hardware, but the PlayStation 5 and the VR headset can utilize it. So, yeah, pretty much every Sony title is probably going to have that option.
Sure, but I don't think it's really comparable to like. Okay, I have nice headphones, but have it coming from angles, and so it sounds like I've got surround sound, you know. But having sat in a studio and heard music coming from all angles, or owning a record player and having hear those speakers go off, it is not the same. So these sound in sound is going to be very different from sound in headphones.
Phones that are capable of 3D sound production. Remember, 3D sound production doesn't just mean, oh, the sound simulates coming from a set distance or angle. No,
I'm just saying it's capable with quotes because it's a different thing than if you're talking about 3D sound in a room. I've been to 3D sound. I mean, technically, those movie theaters that were like IMAX were like water.
all right, so for topic one, ooh, that feels much better. Well, I think we're all pretty much in agreement, but on different scales and different levels. And here comes a new challenger. All right, well, Mr. Ryga, I'll give you a chance to read over the topics. They're in the texting page because you're going to go right after me, okay?
You got it, dude.
Why the fuck are you talking like that?
My fiance appreciates a good Michelle Tanner. I'm sorry that you don't. Well, now, I mean, she wasn't at the time that she was most relevant, but I mean, now, you know, well, it wasn't. It wouldn't have been cool to say that she was hot back when she was.
Just a little bit.
I immediately said, you know, she better be hot.
Anyways, all right. That's probably our most comical latecomer entrance ever. As far as topic one goes, we all pretty much have the same idea, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper. I know for a fact that corporate heads are kind of sort of being forced into caring about digital more than physical. Oh my fucking God. I hate when people text me shit. Anyways, so basically, it's been implied, and when I say implied, I mean a lot of industry professionals, and I use that term very loosely, didn't even fucking understand why they were being made to do it. So from what it looks like, historically speaking, it looks like, do you not have push to talk?
Yeah, quickly turn that on Lionel Richie. He wants it to be push to talk.
Well, what? Wait. Yeah, I'm not even making any noises, so I'm not sure what you're hearing.
Yeah. So anyways, the chair people, the stockholders, those types, a lot of them want digital because they think they have more control, but really it's because they know they get more profit. But here's the problem with that. Don't nobody trust you. We all know and can name a game that was the shit. No one hated it, but for whatever reason, A, it did not come over into future generations. B, it was never ported and was stuck on one system. Or C, it had a very, very, very limited release, or it didn't sell well, so it got discontinued and is hard to find. And what happens? Collectors and scalpers kind of sort of start blurring the lines between each other, and they want to charge an excessive amount of money for the shit. Excuse me. Give me some more water in there. And they want to charge an excessive amount of money for the shit. Not because it's going to end up in a museum one day, or it can even be treated as such, but because they think they can get away with it. If one person buys it at an exorbitant price, they set the standard. So you could come in 10, 15 years later and find yourself fucked. Also, the game industry inherently has been terrible at their own personal preservation of their own shit, and they've openly admitted it because they didn't even see it as a fucking problem. To this day, Square Enix has openly admitted that they overwrote all old material from their games, and they didn't really stop until 1999 or 2000. So that means all the code and data could potentially be gone from Final Fantasies 1 to 6.
I could believe it.
That goes in the randomness section. But the fact, and then, matter of fact, here's a scary one. They actually lost Kingdom Hearts 2. That's why they took so long to fucking port it. Tetsuya Nomura admitted it. I watched it. It was at E3. He was coming to the Square Enix interview booth. They lost Kingdom Hearts 2's raw data after it got being done localized. They finished localization in whatever foreign department was the last place to be localized. Not even joking. So 8 people alone had to reverse engineer the data and information. That is scary to think about. At this point, this is a $100 million company, and your most valuable assets you're not properly keeping track of.
Yeah, that is pretty bad.
Mind you, they've obviously changed things since then. But I think that's half the reason a lot of the old Super Nintendo Final Fantasy games went to the Game Boy. It wasn't because, hey, everybody else is porting their stuff to the Game Boy Advance. Might as well do it too. It's because they wanted to have a frame of reference to start from if they ever lose track of the data. Crazy to think about, I know. But anyways, and the biggest issue is that since we don't trust them as, consumers, we're always going to be looking into their data. Data mining is like breathing at this point in the game industry. Doesn't matter how popular your game is or how unpopular. If there's enough people playing it, we'll say, hell, maybe 10,000, 20,000. I can guarantee you at least 10 people can data mine it or know how to and just don't care about it. So if you make a game and it's online only, someone will find a way to preserve it. Look no further, and this is one of my favorites, of proof of why physicals need to stay around. Scott Pilgrim. The game, not the movie or the books, the game. That game was loved. People liked it. However, it was only on one system, and to try to be pricks about it, you had to have co-op be installed in the game as a patch fucking, 7 months later after the game came out?
Was it really that long? Shit.
Yes. And to top it off, Ubisoft, who didn't care about it, even though they fucking made it, they didn't have enough common sense to think, we should probably port this to other systems at a later date. They didn't care enough to look into licensing renewal, none. Brian Lee O'Malley was saying for years, if you want to take the licensing to do shit with it again, I will let you. He had to go and find them to get this shit done. The chain of communication and data storage and data entry is practically non-existent in the game industry until 2002. In fact, Ubisoft even said that, or if you look at one of the old making of the Prince of Persia 1, which they're remastering, by the way, waiting for that one. They said that what they do is they take old builds and all their raw data and they digitize them into some physical media and they put them in a cabinet for storage, a designated space for it. What the fuck was stopping Square Enix from doing that? Now, I know that sounds a little bit mean or like I'm making these companies look stupid, but I'm not trying to. What I'm really doing is just describing how inconsistent or how incoherent the industry naturally is with their own data. Are some companies better than others with their shit? Absolutely. But my point is that things will get lost if they are not properly managed and organized. And when you have something that is digital only, it runs the risk of being lost. So even if someone finds the data, if the game can't work without being online, you're fucked. Is everybody going to let you buy a server? Not necessarily. Your game has to be super popular, but on top of that, people have to be able to find you and get the license from you to be able to A, get the official server data, or B, just possibly get the game. And sometimes people may want an absorbent fee that is insanely stupid for no fucking reason. It's crazy. It really is. So I think that the industry doesn't value physical storage the way it should, but because games are getting bigger, they're gonna have to. Look no further than Microsoft's Xbox, which we're all about to shit on. Everybody go to voice activity for this because I want everyone to be shitting on them. I'm not even joking. So today, right guy, that's you too. Go to voice activity. You're gonna want to shit on them.
As you command.
I'm trying. I was trying to find like the hotkey for it.
Yeah, you found it.
Okay, so today we got an announcement, and nobody spoil this because I want to make sure this reaction is genuine if you know the answer. We got the announcement on how much Microsoft's memory card is going to cost for the new Xbox. Now we're going to have a
Memory
fun time.
card.
Yeah, they have memory cards. Nobody looked this shit up. Now I'm going to go in order and have you guys guess what the memory card costs. Ingling, how much you think the memory card costs?
I don't know. The fact that you're so shocked about it, I'm gonna guess $200.
Wow, you're insane. Officer, how much you think it costs?
$90.
Right, guy?
$49.95.
I'm sorry, guys, and the price is wrong for all you mugs, but Ingling got the closest. It is $219.99.
Oh,
sorry.
How much is that?
That's almost half of the fucking system value. $219.
What's the closest? I get to guess the next item, right? You're giving me the memory card, right?
Guess what size the memory card is. 1 terabyte. 1
That's a large
terabyte.
one.
That's not large. 1 terabyte on average costs now about $40, maybe $50, depending on the size of what you're trying to do. You know, I'm not talking about internal hard drive shit. But 1 terabyte is not expensive anymore. And they want $219 goddamn dollars.
I was gonna buy an Xbox, but now I don't know if I will.
Order a bunch of their fucking hard drives, their memory cards, and then sell them shits on like eBay and just watch the auction price rise. I feel like that would be better money spent. I would be better to sell that shit by auction than to actually own that shit. But yeah,
Someone will make one from China for like $40. I'll just buy that.
but will it work though? Now, all right, everybody can go back to push to talk. But as you can see, these hoes is crazy out here. But you see, they understand. You could possibly save the game or be playing a game that's 1080, 720, 4K, 2K, 8K. Yes, I didn't go in order. Fuck you. I am not at any point in time ever investing in some bullshit like that. First off, that means that they've called the monetary value of their own internal hard drive into question, because these things come in 500 gig and a 2 terabyte version, or either 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte Xbox Series X. The name is terrible. They should change it before it comes out, before somebody buy the wrong system, and we all know that shit's gonna happen. Anyway.
Yep.
May I interject? I love when they first announced, like when they were getting ready to announce the system's name. They had made an announcement on Twitter that like it's named based on what it does. Like it'll make sense, and then they announce it. It's like, oh yes, I also series. Like what did you mean?
Has anyone noticed that there's always some major fuck up in every in the past 7 years when Microsoft is trying to introduce some insane new shit there's genuinely a fuck up going back as far as 7 years. I'm not trying to even dog them. Y'all know how I feel. I respect Phil Spencer, but I do not respect Xbox as a brand. I love Microsoft,
Actually,
but yeah, my whole point is that like they always find a way to fuck some shit up, and it's not even at a point where it's funny anymore. It's just almost depressing. I legit starting to feel bad for them.
Microsoft's always been like that. They were famous for that with their software, with their operating systems. So they had this thing where like every other one, they'd have something good, and then like the thing to come after it would be like, oh yeah, this company's pretty good. It would be fucking shit. Like it'd be like, how the fuck did the company that made the good one make this piece of shit? So the Xbox 360 was really nice because it was backwards compatible. It was new to the market after the Xbox. It's fucking durable. I mean, other than the fact that it gets a red ring of death sometimes, you could probably drop the fucking thing and it'll still work. I mean, but that never fucking happened to mine, so. Yeah, it was fucking lucky. My family kept fucking pushing, when I was younger, kept pushing the goddamn disc reader, though, and now my fucking Xbox doesn't work. And I took a USB and tried to offload my data to move to a new Xbox, and it fucking deleted all of it. So I have a reason to be pretty salty with them, because when I fucking asked the tech support, that's what they told me to do, and it deleted my maps that I made on Halo when I was like 14, which were really fucking cool.
So basically, that's why I calls the value of it, because if you get a version of that where you can use an external hard drive by itself, why even have a less powerful version and a premium version? Why not just make one with a memory card inside of it and out of it? But we all know why. It's because the internal memory card did not cost them $219 to keep in that system. It's not the bulk of the fucking thing. It's the graphics card that, and compressing it and get the customized version of it. That's what caused this shit. But you see my point though. They have already figured out, okay, we need to value this shit. Sony hasn't necessarily figured it out. They pretend to value the shit. They're going to have iterations of games that are extremely popular. Then they're going to put on a season pass or have extra DLC content, which will upload and unload an insane amount that you can't fit on a Blu-ray disc. I understand that. That's the nature of the beast, because you have a different fidelity than normal, and you got to deal with uncompressed audio, which y'all some of y'all understand, but when you get uncompressed audio, the file sizes can triple sometimes, if not more. But the whole thing is just that I understand why they think that they don't need to value them as much, because, oh, we can just have you all download the shit. Well, not really. We don't always have space for it. And if we don't always have space, we're not always in a position to where we can just get rid of games. Some people are in a position when every Call of Duty come out, I see it all the time, I don't even feel bad for them anymore, where they have games they are playing, they haven't beat, they want to beat them, but here comes Call of Duty, and Call of Duty takes up, 90% of their external hard drive at some point. Or because they got so many other games that are good and they got 4K shit on them, they got to basically get rid of 3 or 4 games just to fuck with Call of Duty. It's become a running meme at this point. And I'm just sitting there looking at you and I was like, nah, I don't feel bad for you. You knew this was going to happen. You still played games in between then, and you still bought this shit. I don't feel bad for you. I'm sorry. I don't hate you. I don't not respect you or think you're an idiot. But this is how I feel. When I see somebody run into a wall and they don't know it's there, and I tell them, hey, there's a wall in front of you, and you keep running into that wall, what the fuck you want me to do? I'm not going to feel bad for you. You did this to yourself. Tell them you're not going to buy the game if the game base price is more than, we'll say, base size 100 gigs. That's the best I can tell you. Because the only thing that Call of Duty mugs answer to at this point is money. If they think they're not going to get money, oh, they'll fix their shit real quick. But anyways, yeah, internet infrastructure is not all there. And even if it was, size isn't an issue. No one has infinite storage capacity. And despite the cloud being the cloud, a lot of these companies do need to install things on the game just to make things run more efficiently. That's why when you play a game online like Call of Duty, you're really installing the vast majority of the game, not just the single player bullshit. Because if they unloaded that to just the cloud and the servers, shit would be total fucking chaos. Could it crash the entire internet? Hell no. But it could crash an entire server or cloud system's entire infrastructure by itself. And at the same time, Activision doesn't want to pay the money that's needed to run everything 100% or as close to it all online. They just want to run the servers and connect people to people. So yeah, it is important. But the main reason we need it is because the industry is in a renaissance period right now where the size of files is dramatically multiplying more than it used to. You go from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, it actually ain't that bad. We're seeing size drops, size increases that would match something like going from the Super Nintendo to the PS3 right now. Crazy. Anyways, topic 2. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a choose your own adventure situation, or rather, this is a based on the person situation. If you get a premium subscription that gives you the option to have offline access and offline downloading, to quote a one Shia LaBeouf, just do it. I don't care what you like. As long as it involves licensing and permissions, they can come and go. I actually have my Spotify, for example, I got a premium account, but in the settings, you can actually change if you can still see a song that used to be in your playlist or not, if they lost licensing. Now imagine how many people don't know that they can lose music like that. Is there a download option to play Spotify offline when you're premium? Absolutely. But if I want to go and try to find a physical version of a song or an individual purchase of that one song, and I can't find it because I got, 20,000, 30,000. I don't actually have that many on my Spotify. But for example, I got like 20,000 or 30,000 songs and tracks on my shit. Bruh, I'm not even going to notice. It would be like a billionaire losing a penny. They don't feel that shit. So I think that if you can afford it, get a premium subscription that gives you an option to download. However, if you see a premium subscription and it is completely and 100% bogarted and locked up, no. Don't get comfortable with it. You should always be looking for the better deal, because some of these places, they're not going to always get back what got taken off, not because they're not trying, but because they would have to have an exclusivity price war with a secondary competitor, and it's not necessarily always worth it. When Netflix lost Community, they didn't fight for it. Now they got the entire thing, 1 through season 6. Also, another thing to keep in mind, and I'm starting to hate this, but whatever's coming after millennials, look, we already have to talk. It's my own generation and the one after that, but half of them, they got so much ADD in them, they don't realize when they're doing something stupid. Even if they're not bad people, they just don't want to pay attention long enough to realize they're doing something stupid. They keep trying to dog and shit on people who buy physical versions of things, like a movie or an entire TV series or entire season. Like, you fucking idiot. Every single show that comes out has material that doesn't always make it to broadcast television, whether it's due to censorship or the fact that broadcasters, for lack of a better term, bend the knee and something else to commercial and advertisement sponsorship people. So even if they're allowed to air something and it's not going to ruffle feathers, it won't air just because, we got to make sure this commercial comes out at this specific time approximately. But then they want to shit on people like me who have the uncensored versions, who see things in their original format. When you go on a streaming service, a lot of them, especially Hulu, and I know because one of their Twitter customer service people told me, and it was frightening that we were having a dialogue. Hulu doesn't even know this until I said something. And I have no idea how far up the chain it went. And this is almost verbatim what happened. I went on Hulu, asked them, is there a way to turn on an ability to access the uncensored or unedited versions of their content? They was like, we didn't know that was happening. Like, what the fuck you mean?
Terrifying.
Yes. And I was like, wait, what the fuck you mean by that? And like, let me go into more details. You have versions of shows that are shorter than the versions that are on their disc formats, or that have random censorship or editing that doesn't actually make any sense. Sometimes it'll be a murder show, but a character can't say fuck you or shit. People can be killed in front of me, but fucking shit gets bleeped. Oh, well, we are unaware of this. Do you know what specific show it is? Like, no. Bro, it's your library. You aren't telling people that they upload or can upload the uncensored and unedited versions. It's like, oh no, what we do is we get what was aired on broadcast television 9 times out of 10. I was like, well, let them know they don't have to do that. Okay, we will follow up with upper management, something like that, yada, yada. This was 3 years ago. I'm not expecting it to change that much. But now, this leads credence to what I said earlier. I have Community on Blu-ray. Literally every episode or every season disc has almost 20 to 15 minutes of content that wasn't there before. So it is worth it.
What the fuck?
I know, but here's the dumb part. My generation, millennials, zoomers, whatever, YXZ, the new A when it comes out in like 5-10 years, whatever. Bro, they think that it's a waste of money and it's not efficient to buy the shit. They don't. And the fact that they're going to grow up seeing all these subscriptions from day one, they're going to think that's the norm. You should do that. That's what you're supposed to do because everything is 1-to-1. No version is going to have more shit than the other. I'm like, have you seen YouTube reviews on anything? Anytime something gets ported, there's always a comparison review. Doesn't matter if it's music, video games, nothing. Because they're not 1-to-1. Movies get lost because they don't transition from VHS to DVD. They're from DVD to Blu-ray. Shit like that costs somebody money. And nobody's backing up their entire archive. Or if they are, that's going to take decades, bro. The best they can do is start from right now and archive digitally everything into the future. And make sure it's put on external devices at some point. Not, ooh, let's just throw it up in the cloud. Data recovery is a thing, but data recovery doesn't always get everything. And also data recovery means that your shit's not going to be online. Which means that you can lose money, subscribers, and have to deal with customer service assholes who think that if they yell at the customer service person on the other end, their streaming is magically going to come back because they're ungrateful, attention deficit pieces of shit. So let that be a lesson to you. Same with the Boondocks. The Boondocks is one of the best examples. It's one of the most popular shows. There is no streaming service that has the correct versions, uncensored and unedited. There is no version. I've seen all versions. I've seen the Hulu, I've seen the Netflix, and there was this one other company I can't remember. None of them have the unedited shit. A lot of them, though, they do have the 2 episodes that didn't air. They do have that. Anyways.
Let's look into that.
Yeah, and here's the more annoying part, too. Only season 1 was ever put in Blu-ray of the Boondocks. Season 2 and 3 and 4 are only on DVD. Ain't that a bitch? They have the best animation. Number 1, season 1, they didn't have enough budget, and they weren't as good as drawing as they thought they was. When they get to season 2, season 3, 4, everyone knows it was smooth sailing at that point. Anyways, to summarize, because that one got long, bro, if you got money, get you a premium that allows you to take the shit offline. Worst case scenario, you still have it. You still have it. Now, if you ain't got money and you broke, hey, subscribe. But depending on what type of shit you're going for, movies versus games versus music, some are worth subscribing and some you're not. You're putting yourself in a danger. So buyer beware when it comes to subscriptions. Never forget that you can always lose your shit because you don't own shit. As far as topic 3, this may make a lot of you happy or blister some balls. Yeah, Marvel can't actually own the DC characters pretty much at all. And I'm going to tell you why. In North America, we have monopoly rules. Those rules also extend to any form of entertainment. So if you have comic book characters and you own, we'll say 80% of the comic book characters that exist and are published in North America, that's monopoly. You can't own them. So that's the technical reason why they can't get them. However, this is Disney. Here's the easiest loophole. You go give Kevin Feige or somebody else on the stock board who owns a piece of Marvel, aka Disney, to go and buy those characters full sale. So even though he can't sell them, he can give Disney and Marvel access to those DC characters. However, if it does go out of business, I still think they should keep the properties. Maybe they should do limited runs. Somebody auditions to tell a good story. And they tell a good story and some executive or editor likes it. They get permission from upper management. Okay, make an entire volume of this. Don't do single issue shit and drop it at this point. You know, something like that. Because DC still makes money with their characters, but the primary way they're making them isn't with the comic books. Not because the people aren't buying comics anymore. It's because the stories are wildly inconsistent and the characters' popularities are wildly inconsistent unless there are certain key figures, like the Holy Trinity. But, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and say that other DC characters aren't worth shit or nothing because people will land blast me. Plus, I've seen literally every single DC animated movie that's come out since 1994 or 95. So realistically, fucking, I'm a big investor in them. I really am. Now, number 4. I think that it's too early to tell. Even though 3D audio and sound has been out forever, it being properly utilized in gaming has not. I think it's too early to call. So I don't have a properly formed opinion. Sorry that answer's so short. But hey, at least number 2 was long. All right, Mr. I want to type up a storm. I'm going to go to push to talk. And go ahead and let the world know how you feel about your topics, bro. That's you, right guy.
That was a very quick transition there. I was in the other room taking care of something. Some folks are on their way over to drop something off. Well, so before I start with anything, I'm going to. What the hell is going on? Sorry. All right. I would like to direct the group's attention to the text channel here real quick. Well, in the immortal bubble of 90s sitcom, she is still that young little girl. Yes, now the Olsen twins have blossomed into beautiful young women, but yeah, like in the time of Michelle Tanner as a character, y'all got some explaining to do. So, what do we got here? Okay, so physical games coexisting in the digital market. I certainly hope so. I'm one of those basic bitches that likes to have, you know, a nice physical copy on my shelf when at all possible. Something to pop in and something to take far less space on my system, which is part of what bugs the crap out of me about stuff like the PS4. That like here I have the physical disc, like it could read stuff off that instead, but no, they make it that it like takes just as much space on the hard drive. See, Switch is doing it right by like if you have just the physical cartridge, that's going to take like almost no space at all on your system. Meanwhile, the PS4, my drive is just fucking hemorrhaging. So that would be my preferred like thing to be able to still have that physical copy. That said, I do miss the days of some like effort being put into physical copies. And I'm not talking about special releases because there's definitely something to be said about special releases, you know, where they have like a special like metal case and like a bunch of inserts and like, you know, some of the even higher tier ones will have like a big figure of Cloud riding his goddamn motorcycle or whatever. But I miss the days of just like even just the effort of like just putting in a little instruction booklet to just do something, show some pretty pictures, show you a little bit of how to play the game before, you know, doing any tutorial shit. And some games are still doing it pretty okay. Like even like Let's Go Pikachu on the Switch, like they had like a nice map of the region on the inside of the cover, like because the case is transparent enough and you can see in there when you have it open. That is a nice little touch. or some games will even have like the little reversible covers on there. Like I remember back on the 360 with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it had, you know, two different art pieces depending which way you wanted to flip that little piece of paper in the case, you know. So I understand that, you know, a digital copy is, you know, obviously cheaper for them to, you know, put out and maintain, you know, because they're not having to spend like as much on like actual physical resources making the things and everything. But and that would be somebody at my door. If anybody else has something to chime in for like a minute or two, I have to tend to this. I'll be back relatively quickly, hopefully.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so I do want to kind of sort of throw in this bonus question because it's looking like this is going to be a rather short episode. So I'm gonna just ask you guys point blank. Are we finally at a point where we actually need to fucking slow down when it comes to games, or rather, not even games, just resolution? Because let's look at the transition from the original resolution, which is 160 to 240. That was maybe 10, 12 years. Now we're going from 240, which was camcorders did for a long time, to 480. That was about 30 years. Then we stayed there for about 40, 50 years. But computers were going past that, but it didn't really matter. TVs weren't. And now everybody's in sync. But cameras always go beyond what is commercially available for television. But it's because they are primarily doing them in still images. Most of the Marvel movies were actually filmed in 4K before 4K became a standard. And going from 1080 to 4K, fuck, that was barely 10 years, and we skipped over 2K completely. Now we're going to double that again and go to 8K. 4K hasn't even been on the market a full 10 years. Do we need to slow down? Because these file sizes are going to be insane. That was the bonus question.
All right, I'm going to duck out soon, but I'll listen to Ryguy continue.
All right. Deal. Yeah, my apologies for the big gap there. Some friends came by with some engagement presents for me and my fiance, and also introducing us to their baby, their new baby. So I'm learning what Telugu I can. In fact, my proposal was in Telugu. I managed to propose. It was, it was.
I gotta get going. Later.
All right, later, man. Then there were three. But yeah, I had proposed to her in Telugu, which super impressed her and her family. So that was a nice touch, I guess, on my part. And thing is, we were actually supposed to be married as of 20 days ago. But then the world broke, and now we're still working on rescheduling everything and figuring out what we're going to do with everything. We're looking at just legal options at this point for now. But there's a lot because of between the outbreak and worrying about the safety of our guests and ourselves and our families and everything, and then also my fiance, as we've established, is from India, and flights in and out of India kind of aren't a thing right now. So, and so not being able to have her parents in the country like that, you know, was not an option for us. So that we're like just restructuring everything and figuring everything else out from the ground up. But stuff aside, I pretty much said what I had to say in the way of physical games versus digital, so I'll leave that pretty much where it is. Like, I personally would love for physical games to stick around and have, you know, a reason, you know, for folks to have the digital or the physical copy, you know, like those little perks. It doesn't have to be even anything like super extravagant, just, you know, something a little nice that shows that some effort's been put in. Formatting is better for... I'm not sure I quite understand what you're asking with question 2 here. individual ownership of a piece of it or one-time payment of a base version? Like, what's a base version?
Do you think it is better for music, games, movies, or any entertainment that you get access to? Is it better to have individual ownership or a subscription format? Even though if you have individual ownership, you will only get a piece of it from the download. Or excuse me, or do you prefer a one-time payment? Which means that, oh, you just bought that individual episode, no special shit on it whatsoever. It's just like it came on TV shit.
And that I guess it's a case by case basis for me. There's a lot of stuff I love to be able to peruse every now and then, but then there are some stuff, certain items where I care about it and love it enough that I want to have it like on regular standby, even if like all network connections shut down. Like I can just pop it in the or that I can play it in the bedroom TV, which doesn't have internet or anything hooked up to it. Not to mention the reliability of a certain title remaining in a subscription service is it's tentative at best, I guess. I don't know that I'm even using the right phrasing here, but with all the like big shows that like randomly like disappear off of a streaming service, there's really no certainty with that stuff. So it's nice to have, something to fall back on, even if that entire, streaming service should somehow die down or die off completely. And I hope that answered your question.
I mean, it's really up to interpretation. There's no wrong answer as long as you feel confident with it.
Okay. I hear you. As far as DC Comics, I heard what you said about the whole monopoly aspect of it, and that makes sense in that regard as to why that couldn't happen. Also, there's the aspect for me, like, yeah, it would be great to have a lot of these characters, all working together, like on a regular basis. But at the same time, like, there's so many. Like all of their backstories are based on them being in their own respective universes, and then all of a sudden putting everything together like almost amalgam universe style. Oh, that would be a very tricky one. That said, I feel like there could even be some way at that point, for another comic company to maybe pick up some of the reins on that. One of the smaller companies right now that could become bigger, something like IDW or Boom or something, who have also experience working with these properties. Because we've already had Ninja Turtles, Batman, we've had Power Rangers, Justice League. Like they seem to have a grip on how to handle those characters already. From there, it's also a matter of like what can those individual like smaller studios handle as far as like the entire scope of the universe, or would like this company take these characters over here and this company over here take these characters, and there's like if it were just put out into the fucking ether, it's hard to say what would happen with all these characters and their like rich shared continuity. Like if they're gonna be selling it off, like I would think it would have to be a package deal for it to really make sense. Like we're already seeing what happened to the Marvel movies, what happened when different studios got the rights to different characters, and now, they can play in the same.
Bro,
here's
what tripped me to fuck up. I didn't know that they didn't have Namor. They were renting Namor.
I was under the impression, like what I understood was that he was actually shared, like in the same way that Quicksilver was between the two.
As Hulk, I was like, I didn't know that they didn't have Namor, but at least the person giving it to him is nice about it. So,
yeah, it was. That's the whole thing. There's a few others that I know were shared rights stuff, as far as I think the Skrulls. Namor, Quicksilver. I know there's more that I'm forgetting about. I'm blanking off the top of my head, but yeah, I can't imagine they're like feel like Warner Brothers at the very least. I would think they would keep the media stuff because they're still making money off of the movies and stuff like that. Even the ones that bomb, they're making them some money.
Basically, it would only be relegated to the comics being sold, not like everything.
I feel like at that point they could make a deal with somebody else to like continue publishing the comics, under their license or something. But there's a whole lot of behind the scenes talks at that point that would have to be done, and I will not pretend to be an expert in the business world. And as far as 3D sound, I have no idea really what that is. If that makes my answer any easier. So
I'll simplify. Don't worry, you're not the first person to ask that.
Well, I'm wondering. Like, let me just take a guess though. Like, because I've before, like, I know there's surround sound, but then I know that like 3D sound is that like I remember back when I had gone to. I'm trying to think if it was Universal Studios or Disney back as a kid, and they had something where you put the headphones on, and then like you would hear like these sounds that made it sound like people were like walking around you and like doing stuff to you to the point where like it actually felt like they were almost like touching you, like just from having your eyes closed with the audio playing. Like that it sound. Is it something to that extent?
I promise you, it's a lot simpler than that. Okay, so when you hear sound, it comes from the x-axis or the y-axis. 3D sound is sound that can come from the Z, meaning it can come from X or Y and do it continuously / simultaneously. That's it.
Go up and down and such as well.
Yeah, and the PlayStation 5 will be utilizing that technology. However, currently, only the PlayStation 5 headphones can access 3D sound. But it is built into a lot of their first-party games, or it's assumed it's going to be. I know Miles Morales has it. I like saying that name.
That's interesting. It never occurred to me that we didn't have like vertical sound. I know like right to left, front to back. It never occurred to me up to down.
Have you ever sat down and watched TV and looked for a speaker in the ceiling?
And not several times. I gotta say, not a bunch of times.
Good to know.
I mean, I guess we'll have to see kind of how it plays out. But 3D, much of anything lately hasn't always been working out. Between the movies, the 3DS, and now audio, like it's all a crapshoot as to how it's going to be received. Like even the greatest ideas, like that sound amazing on paper and that can get you super excited, then for some reason it just doesn't catch.
Sir, you have just described 40% of the movie industry.
Yup. And even I heard you guys like in the background discussing the Wii U and the Wii and everything like that, where like me personally, I was, super stoked on the idea of the Wii U. And then like when I found out like how, like I know a lot of people were super confused about it, and that didn't help matter.
It was their own damn fault because they didn't want to care. They didn't want to care about the people who wanted to put games on their shit, and they didn't want to care how easy or hard it was to use their own shit. They fucked up hard. I mean, if you want to try to summarize, that's okay too. A $219 fucking memory card.
Yeah, I agree. Like at least they're putting some amount into it, but at the same time, even my I mean, it's more than my current hard drive has, but at the same time, yeah, it is hard to justify that for sure. I still find it like very surprising that Xbox, because like, correct me if I'm wrong, has Xbox ever really done like, I mean, even with the 360, like there was a memory card for me that came with it, but like there was nothing that could even be saved on that damn thing. It was so teeny tiny. Like it had a copy of one of the Worms games on it. That was about it. I could never figure out how to save a single game onto that thing. Nothing. So yeah. To my recollection with Xbox, it's always been purely hard drive. Like even from the first one, I don't remember there being memory cards. It's possible there were. Like I genuinely don't remember that. Like the first Xbox.
Memory cards, and they kind of work like the Dreamcast. They went directly into the controller.
Really? Okay. Oh yeah, I guess I do remember the Xbox controllers having those big fucking gaps in the top. I completely forgot about that. That would make sense then, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, Raga, you got any closing statements or things you want to bring up?
Media is cool. It's all a matter of how it's presented and handled.
A lesson too many big ass corporations refuse to acknowledge.
Oh yeah, it's amazing how corporations think. I know I'm not saying anything new here, but it's amazing how many of them think they know what the public wants, and it turns out just how fucking wrong they are. Especially when you have fans asking for literal decades for something, and them like just showing zero interest in it. Even sometimes even acknowledging that, yeah, we hear that you want it, but we got no plans to do it. You know. I mean, Mother 3 being, prime example number one, but which I have zero stake in. Yeah.
I wish it was on Nintendo. At least if it was on Nintendo, they would have been done, or we might be on a Mother 4 or 5 or some shit. But nope, it's not owned by Nintendo necessarily, so that's the biggest issue. That aside, well, I normally don't have closing statements, but I really hope the live action Avatar doesn't suck. I feel like it's probably going to have a big chance of sucking because something big had to happen for the original two to leave after knowing that they had creative control. And the fact that they already pre-confirmed Korra is happening too, I'm really scared.
I was gonna say, like, they are moving forward with the live action Avatar, and now I heard something about Korra. I thought it was just a joke, but
Nah, Avatar live action was never canceled. It was just that Michael DiMartino and that other guy whose name I'm mad at myself for always forgetting.
The two creators.
Yeah, they left citing creative differences, which is scary given what happened last time.
Because the other people wanted to show titties. Something. What? You didn't know? No, like it was straight up like they left because the people making the show wanted to make it too mature and have like sex and blood and shit like that.
I feel like you might have read something else. I'm not saying you're wrong, but that might not go to Avatar. Who the fuck is gonna be having sex, bro? All the characters are not even 15.
Well, and that's part of what some people were wondering. We're assuming that they would like either do that just with the adult characters or like just not have, or just have the characters be older or something. But yeah, this was straight up like you can read.
Okay, you send me links after this podcast. With that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast with a fucking awkward ending. I will see you guys when I see you guys. I need Chinese food.
Adios, muchachos.